Despite the frustrating loss, there were some positives to build on, as well as clear indicators of what Houston needs to improve on, get better at, or just simply outright move away from. Hey, the Houston Texans can get over this thing. They can get to 1-2. But how? We got Texans talk today. Stick around. Let's have fun.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation, from H-Town to your town. Today's episode and every episode of the Locked On Texan podcast is for Texan fans all around. Thank you for my first-time listeners, but for my everydayers from the Himalayas, thank you for making the Locked On Texans podcast your first listen of the day, for coming back to listen to myself, your Texans football analyst and credential media member, John Hickman. Today's episode is all about looking at how Houston can get over the hump, right? And I kind of think that everything Demeco Ryans has been talking about as of late, what he's looking for and him being more in control and just outright his hands is on everything. He's on his own journey right now, not a spiritual journey, but a coaching journey. This is year 3, a pivotal year for a coach who wants to be an overseer of the entire team, not just being regulated as the defensive coach. He's the head coach. He has his hands on offense as well. We also look at Christian Kirk coming back, Braxton Berrios coming back, and also the importance of Jake Andrews coming back as well. Make sure you stick around for the second segment. I have a small interview with Braxton Berios that I was able to get on Tuesday afternoon. But just looking at Game 2, the loss on Monday, pulling from the positives and what the building blocks were for the Houston Texans. Now, we'll say this. Today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for the highlights. And this week, moving the game forward, Mazda move and be move. Now, for the Houston Texan fans out there, this show is going to be a therapy. This is a therapy session until one of two things happen. Houston can win a game, which hopefully they'll do Sunday. Make sure you watch the crossover episode on Thursday that'll drop. And also, or if they score 3 touchdowns, I'm your therapist for the next couple of days until they score. And if they don't score 3 touchdowns or they don't win, just come on back and get yourself the virtual couch, sit down, and let me know how you feel. But there were some things that we saw on the field that were backed up by the advanced numbers, some things that Houston may want to continue to do, some things Houston may want to just improve on, or some things that the Houston Texans absolutely want to say, you know what, scrap that. We're going to move away from it. Number 1, Dare Ogunbowale. We talked about it, on the squad show. We talked about it. I talked about it on the follow-up recap episode that I did solo. Listen, his PFF grade, pass blocking, was 1.4 for all of you PFF junkies out there. He allowed 3 pressures on 7 snaps. And I think that may be generous. Listen here, guys. Again, there is nothing you could have sold me in the preseason, in training camp, or right now. Nothing you could have sold me or sell me to justify Dare playing over Woody Marks. I said it then. My everydayers know it now. I've said it since camp. I personally think Woody Marks should be this team starter. He gives you the juice, right, in the run game and the passing game. And if Houston doesn't want to give him that, then he should be out there every third down. He can also block. Like I said, he can run and pass effectively enough for Houston for him to be a real asset for this team. He should not be out there. And honestly, I looked at the snaps played. It wasn't a huge disparity between Marks and Ogunbowale, right? But those snaps that were going to Ogunbowale moving forward, they should all be kind of regulated for Woody Marks. Also, the play action rate for Houston in 2025 is the 4th lowest in the NFL. The first 2 games, including against the Bucs, compared to 2024 when they was the 16th in the NFL. Big difference. This year, no Joe Mixon. Last year, Joe Mixon. Teams kind of have to look at what Houston is putting out there and respect it or not. And to this point, not sure how much the defenses are respecting who the Houston Texans have been trotting out there in the backfield, and that may have impacted how they've been going about their play calling in terms of whether or not they want to do play action calls or not. However, in the same breath, the pre-snap motion percentage in 2025, second lowest in the NFL compared to 2024, 16th in the NFL. This is a number I want to see increase the most. And I know CJ has mentioned the amount of old Patriot film they've been watching, but incorporating some more motion will help Stroud and the receiver see what the coverages are and what the defense is in. And that is beneficial for everyone. Stroud will get an opportunity to get a better look and understanding of the who, what, when, where, how. Well, what's that? Okay, well, let's put some of these guys in motion. Now let's give the opportunity to the quarterback and the receivers to see who to get the ball to, what the coverage looks like, when. The win for that is how long does he have to get the ball out? Why do I say that? Well, when you know it's pressure coming, it's a blitz coming, then you may understand that I may need to check out of this, which is where the where comes into play. Where do I need to get the ball to? In terms of playmakers, and then the how to beat that said defense. Do I need to check into a run, check into a quick intermediate pass, which is currently being utilized at a 27.3% rate for the Houston Texans? That number needs to increase as the season goes on, as they continue to deal with some of the internal issues on the offensive line. Also, in terms of the play calling, which has been stagnant, for lack of better words. To help CJ and the offense get going, it's important to limit the predictability of their play calling to this point of the season. In the game against the Bucs, the Texans threw the ball 83% of the time from the shotgun formation, while the ball was ran 67% of the time when under center. Now, the high passing percentage in the shotgun is concerning, but it could be justified due to the issues on the offensive line where Andrews is still sidelined. Good news, he may be able to return to the Jacksonville Jaguars game. However, utilizing formations under center could enhance play action opportunities and allow for a more varied play design attack, which I think the Houston Texans could benefit from, right? A lot of these issues are glaring for sure, but fixable. And there were some positives to build on. The Texans' early down success versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, third week 2. CJ Stroud's drop back EPA, 0.563. That was second. And when the offensive line played up to standard before things got out of hand, CJ Stroud's first quarter, 8 dropbacks, 5 of 7, 105 yards, 1 TD, 15 yards per attempt, with an 0.846 EPA. It legit looked like we were heading for a shootout against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And to that point, when the offensive line played well, the rookie Ersery had a great game as well. He had a great game throughout the entire game. 0 sacks allowed, did a good job of protecting CJ's blind side and a clean pocket for CJ Stroud. Well, that looked like 6 first downs with a passer rating of 112. Houston will get 2 playmakers back this week, right? And hopefully that third playmaker comes at the center position. With the addition of Christian Kirk and Braxton Berrios back to the lineup, will that help Houston win a game against Jacksonville? Stick around to hear from Berrios. And why I say to that question, yes, it will. But those 2 guys should be an extension of what the young guys and the opportunities they are getting against the Jacksonville Jaguars. This thing has to be an all-hands-on-deck type of offense until a breakout player comes out of the fire. It should be Nico Collins. They're having their own communication issues. So who could it be to step up and give Houston the boost on the offensive side of the ball in the receiver room? Stick around. We got more Locked On Texans talk on the way. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that move the game forward is unfortunately, Texas fans, we're going to have to relive the missed tackle by Henry To'oTo'o and Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is this week's highlight player. Let me tell y'all something, man. As much as we've talked about Baker Mayfield in a bad light, Cleveland Brown fans would sure love to have him back. His success since being traded, cut, released, brought in with the last couple of days before a game, but his success since taking over for Tom Brady in Tampa Bay has really been somewhat of a Cinderella story. Remember, guys, he was a walk-on when he first got the college transfer to Oklahoma and took that program over, was a franchise quarterback, thought to be a franchise quarterback when he got to Cleveland. Then everything just kind of went to crap, then moved around in the league. Now he's found a home in Tampa where he's fully taken over. He is that offense. He is that bravado-esque, moxie-esque quarterback that the teammate understand, I will fight for this guy to the end because he'll fight for me. And I think that's something that when you look at moving the game forward, that's what it's all about. And Baker Mayfield is that player that's going to move the game forward by hell or high water, whether he's injured or not. It doesn't matter. Whatever he can do to get a win, he's going to do it. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. And also, Texas fans, perfect time to let you guys know that with the NFL season being back, you guys understand there's no better feeling than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, sometimes getting tickets can be a hassle between queues, login screens, prices jumping at checkout. Is frustrating. That's why I use Game Time. This ain't one of those things we promote to y'all and I don't use. I love the Game Time app. The Game Time app gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. Who don't love that? I know I love those zone deals. Pick the section. Game Time will pick the seat, and I'll save big, and you can save big as well. Faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I've ever bought tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Texas fans, very important conversation that needs to be heard by you guys from Braxton Berios, wide receiver, newcomer wide receiver, Braxton Berrios. So I am excited because I'm talking to Braxton Berrios, the new man in town here in Houston, but also the new man in town here on the north side here with Aldine. We were at Eisenhower with Fogo the Child, who's doing an amazing job, No Kid Hungry, giving out some food, some meals, premium meals to the community, man. Yeah. So, how does it feel to be a part of this community outreach and initiative, and what are you looking forward to seeing today?
No, it's been awesome so far. Just obviously, getting to know and get to meet some of the kids here at Eisenhower, and it's really cool in the fact that we're kind of put in positions of power, more or less, right, or influence, and I really try to do as much as I can and giving back. And Houston's been amazing, welcoming me, full arms since I've been here. And so, this is more about giving back to the community that's given to me.
Now, you mentioned Houston has welcomed you, open arms. This is what we do. But you know where they need you right now. You know where they want to welcome you. They want to welcome you back to the field. It was announced that you will be ready for Sunday's matchup, and they need you. I have to ask, what type of impact do you believe, based on the first two games, you can bring to this team? Special teams, offense, cohesiveness, being in the league for several years, understanding how to attack certain coverages. What can Braxton Berrios bring to this Houston Texans team that started 0-2?
Yeah, obviously the experience you spoke of, and hopefully coming back and bringing a sense of a spark, right? Like, obviously I want to make plays for this team, and willing to do whatever, however, to make that happen, whether it's on offense, whether it's on special teams. I mean, we've obviously we've lost two very close games that we felt like we could win, And, we can look all around the map and try to say it was because of this or because of that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We have to come together as a team. And, I think the experience and the leadership of me and, thankfully Christian Kirk as well coming back, hopefully we'll go a long way and, making the offense a little bit better, a little more cohesive, making a few more plays. And hopefully that's what it takes to win the first one next Sunday.
Next Sunday, Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. Houston desperately needs a dub, and I believe you can add to that. Another question that I have for you is just right now with the up and down performance of the offense, Nick Haley being the first-time play caller here in Houston, and the ups and downs for CJ Stroud. What are you seeing from CJ to kind of give Texan fans a reason to just stay calm? Everything is going to be all right. We got it.
Absolutely. I mean, look, we all you can sit back and you can freak out about the first two games, or you can realize how good of a quarterback we have at the helm. Truly, I mean, he's a leader. He can place the ball anywhere he wants. He goes through his reads, he goes through his progressions, and he's a vocal point in that offense. And I mean, look, we have a great quarterback. We have a very, very, very good OC, great offensive mind. There's no need. I understand. I get it. People are going to be up in arms starting 0-2, and nobody wants to start 0-2 less than us who are going to work every day and trying to win a game. So we have a phenomenal offense and coaching staff. Okay, we have a phenomenal offensive coaching staff, and we have everything to go ahead and make a run here.
Braxton, last question for you before you go. The fans out here, they love you. The fans in the stadium, they're going to love you here in Houston. What's one message you want to leave to the Houston Texan fans?
You know what? Stay with us. Stay with us. We're gonna make you proud. We're going to do everything we can, and it's going to be a fun season.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Braxton Berrios, they need you on the field. They need Christian Kirk on the field. They're going to need Jake Andrews back on the field, but it's important that I think Sunday's matchup will get the first real opportunity to have an accurate, how can I put this, to have an accurate, to judge this team accurately for the first time, right? The first game of the year, the first two games of the year, both Berrios and Kirk were not on the field. And then in week 2, Jake Andrews was not on the field, right? And also in week 1, Ed Ingram was not on the field. So Titus Howard had to slide back in to play guard. They moved Ersery back over at right tackle. Cam Robinson was out there. So when you look at some of the ups and downs the Houston Texans have had since the season have kicked off, one thing that we have to keep in mind is there's been a lot of shuffling going on. There's been a lot of guys that's been out that's supposed to be in, and guys that's in that was not expected to be out there as much as they've been out there. Excuse me. And so it's important to note that Houston getting Braxton Berrios and Christian Kirk back is right on time. I think Houston needs those guys to operate underneath. Defenses are playing a ton of cover 3 against the Houston Texans, anticipating those deep shots that the offense has constantly taken. And side note, Houston's most successful routes run in terms of yards per attempt this year to this point, slants, crossing routes, and screens. So the Houston Texans need to get back to that and also do that more consistently to kind of beat what the defense is showing them. But one of the issues that I think Houston is suffering from right now, especially as I mentioned, teams playing a bunch of cover 3 or just the zone altogether, and how Braxton Berrios and Christian Kirk can help with that. Both of those guys understand, because this team wants to kind of have a little bit more of what they say, give freedom to the receivers to beat coverages. To me, that screams option routes. And both of those players, you look at Braxton Berrios and Christian Kirk, those guys understand that sometimes it's important to tail off your route. Sometimes it's important to break off the top of your route at a certain angle when attacking certain coverages, or a certain part of the field when attacking certain coverages, to kind of stop where you are and give your quarterback a surefire throw. Now, I think that's important, very important right now for CJ Stroud, because when I see Stroud out there, I see a quarterback that is looking for the perfect throw too much. There hasn't been a lot of throwing receivers open. There hasn't been a lot of, at least, consistency and accurately, anticipation on some of these throws. If the throw isn't there because of how much he's been pressured, it seems like CJ Stroud isn't letting it rip. And where that's happening the most, it feels like that's happening the most in an area where he was extremely excellent in his rookie year, and that is the middle of the field. Now, okay, let's look at the issues since his rookie year. Where has he's gotten the most pressure? From the middle of the offensive line. So you have a quarterback that may want to throw that dot right where he has accustomed to throwing it to a Nico Collins where they haven't been successful yet in the middle of the field, or maybe to some of the other guys that's been out there. Last year, you look at Diggs and Tank, and now those two are gone, and they weren't able to finish out the year. And Houston's lackluster performances from the other receivers. He may want to rip it right through the middle of the field, pick up first down. Let's move the chains. Let's move forward. However, how can I rip it when I got a 300-pounder coming in my face on the football field, giving pressure? Because the offensive line on the inside has been so bad. So I think when we look at some of the issues and the struggles that CJ Stroud has been having, okay, he's not letting it rip to the middle part of the field. Okay, that's a problem. Why? Okay, he's getting pressured in his face the entire game. Okay, why? The inside offensive line has been bad. Okay, now we look at the importance of getting a high IQ and a player that doesn't lose his reps due to a bad base and technique from Jake Andrews. Okay, bam. Jake Andrews will be inserted back into the lineup hopefully Sunday. That should help. And also him playing with Ed Ingram, the vet who's played. Ed Ingram has played decently. That should help. Andrews getting back should also help Laken Tomlinson, who had a horrific game on Monday night. That should help. Okay, now also getting Christian Kirk and Braxton Berrios, but specifically Christian Kirk back, understanding that this is my route. This is what we're seeing. This is what they're showing. I have two ways to beat this coverage. My quarterback knows that because they had probably the best connection in training camp from any other receiver not named John Mechie, and I'm standing on that. Now I know where to get to so he can rip it to me. CJ, rip it to me. I'll be open here. Braxton Berrios getting busy on the edge. Houston also has done a good job on some of these out routes, and I feel like that was an area where they should have continued to hurt the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Going at Savasi Dennis when the middle of the field opened up due to some of the linebacker coverages that the Bucs were having issues with, but also going to the flats, going to some of the out routes, maybe not a 10 and out, maybe a 5 and out, get the guys going a little bit. This is where the value of both Braxton Berrios and Christian Kirk comes in. Now, you know who's seeing all of this? Demeco Ryans. Demeco Ryans is seeing this, and he's telling us that slowly but surely he's making some changes. Please stick around for more Locked On Texas Talk. As we continue to talk about your Houston Texans, Monday night wasn't the funnest game. However, Sunday could be fun. I think it'd be fun. I think Houston should be able to cash in on their first game of the year. But what could add to that excitement is locking in with FanDuel. FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and the best way to add a little more excitement to your Sundays. Right now, I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars are a 2-point favorite against the Houston Texans. They are at home, so maybe that plays into a factor. Can Houston play spoiler to Vegas? We'll see. Are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Texan fans, it's important to note Houston will be going up against former Heisman winner Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter has not left a real impact on the game as of yet. So while Houston Texan fans are looking for the likes of Jalen Noel to have a breakout performance, they need Jaden Higgins. Overall, they need those two premium picks that they spent on wide receivers to have a good game. For the Houston Texans, there has not been a receiver to catch 50 or more yards for the Houston Texans through 2 games in any of the games that they've had. And I think that's a huge issue. Just give you guys some more numbers. Nick Chubb, 103 yards on the ground, 4.1 yards per carry. CJ Stroud, 6.6 yards per carry, 59 rushing yards on the ground, sacked 6 times, 1 TD, 1 interception. But I think the most chilling number of all, through 2 games, 6 catches, 14 targets, Nico Collins, 77 yards, and the lone receiving TD. Jaden Higgins, 20 yards per catch, 60 yards on the season, 3 catches, 4 targets. I mean, this guy has big playability written all over him, and Houston has to find a way to get him involved more often. And I would love to see him run some more slants. Honestly, the snaps and opportunities, not necessarily the snaps, but the opportunities that we're seeing from Xavier Hutchinson, I think those opportunities should go right to Jaden Higgins. Those opportunities that we're getting from Justin Watson, who was announced he's going on IR right now due to an injury, those opportunities should immediately mean more opportunities and snaps for both the rookies, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel. Now, Demeco Ryans says he's involved in all aspects of getting this thing under control and rolling. He's dealing with his own set of issues as a defensive coach, becoming more involved, in my opinion. The first 2 years, who was on the opposite side to run things? It was Bobby Slowick. It was his boy. Bobby, make sure my guys are right and ready. And the tail end of 2024, those guys were not right and ready. There were injuries that hurt Houston. There were plenty of offensive line communication errors and just outright being bad that we've talked about ad nauseum here on the show for the Houston Texans. But overall, how the offense operated was god-awful. The pressure that he put upon himself, and I think this is in conjunction to both Demeco Ryans and Nick Caserio. See, the thing is, we're talking about Demeco Ryans because he's the head coach, but how many of these moves and decisions were signed off on or maybe instigated by Nick Caserio? That is something that I think we won't get more real insight and intel on until we get to the end of the year. If this thing goes bad for Houston, somebody's going to get about the paint. And all signs point to Nick Caserio. Not being able to draft offensive linemen adequately, not being able to get consistent playmakers on the outside, the running back situation, though he traded for Joe Mixon, sticking with some of those other guys for too long and not bringing up and upgrading the floor of the running back room is a problem. But when I look at Demeco Ryans, I think I see a man that great coach. Some of you guys want him fired already after going through Lovie Smith and David Culley and Romeo Cornell for a moment. Some of y'all want him up out of here. But understand this, Texas fans. He is taking on a different task that he's never taken on before. He's taken on a task that he's been able to lean on the person over that side of the ball. My everydayers have heard me say this time and time again. Hey, during training camp, I noticed how active Demeco Ryans was on the offensive side of the ball. And it may have not been vocally. It may have just been in an encouraging way. But I also saw a coach that was figuring some things out. I also saw a coach that was overseeing more on the offensive side of the ball than I had seen him the previous 2 seasons. Now, I have not been out there every day at training camp. But typically, I would see Demeco with the defense. This year is a lot different. And I look at a coach who week in and week out, let me tell y'all what Demeco's doing. Week 1, we all saw there was no reason for Dameon Pierce to be out there. Whether it was returning kicks, it was a healthy scratch week 2, remember? They put him out there for special team opportunity, and he completely blew his opportunity. He completely blew it. Week 2, he wasn't out there. Healthy scratch. And then some of the things that he's saying this week, it kind of puts me in the mind of every guy must do their job. Every guy must do their job. And if you are not doing your job the way we need for you to do your job, the way it'll help us win ball games, then what will we do with you? And I think that answer will be, we're not going to put you out there. You're not going to have a place on this football field until you either get right or we find somebody else to replace you. Demeco Ryans was on the Texans radio show with John Harris and Mark Vandermeer, and he mentioned the communications on the motion play. He mentioned the miscommunication on motioning throughout the game and not executing the play properly on 4th down. He's been very hands-on with this offense. Very hands-on with this offense. He even mentioned, listen, is Demeco Ryans going to give Dare another chance, or he's going to quit giving Dare opportunities on 3rd down? Demeco Ryans said, Chubb has done a really outstanding job in pass protection, smart, knowing where to go. We got to give him more of those opportunities on passing situations, 2nd and 3rd down. So, like, DP ruined his chances in special teams, healthy scratch. I would not be shocked or surprised if we don't see Dare out there unless it's special teams. I wouldn't be shocked if we see the amount of snaps that Woody Marks gets for the rest of the season increases because the lack of doing the job that was expected of the guy that was in front of you. And this is why I think Demeco Ryans is on a journey. He's learning how to be a full overseer of a football team. I think that's the best way to put it. Like, you got some guys that, like offensive coordinators, that come in and they really only know how to work with the quarterback. And the other parts of the team fail. Everything's on Demeco's shoulders. We got some of these coaches that may come in and they're really good at one thing. They're really good at the X's and O's, but they're terrible at connecting with the players. You got guys that are great with connecting with the players, but just can't seem to get it right with the X's and O's and the play calling. In this 3rd year, because of hiring a new first-time offensive coordinator, which was a mistake, but they did it, the pressure is on Demeco Ryans, and I think he's recognized it, and I think he's responding to it well. It's not going to reflect that when the team is missing tackles, the team is penalizing themselves, shooting themselves in the foot, and the team is putting players out there that are not their best players or the skill set is lacking. Give Demeco Ryans some time on his journey, and hopefully we'll see him get it all together to where he's a full overseer of a team, offense, defense, special teams. I know who I want out there. I know who I don't want out there in certain downs or situations, and I know how I want them to execute, and I know what I want it to look like. And when they get to that point, then the Houston Texans could be a scary team. Thank y'all for watching and listening to today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. Follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12. Until next time, ladies and gents, Texas fans across the nation, peace.